Hello folks, welcome to another Mario Mondays. This time we're going to be talking about Super Mario Bros. 2, and I'm going to do another PowerPoint presentation on the history of this game because it has an equally interesting history as Super Mario Bros., even though it's not as important as the original. We'll also throw in a little background music of the original Super Mario Bros. 2 title screen to have a little bit more entertaining. But like I said, this has a real interesting history to it. It's one of the only games where you can actually have two of the same sequel and have them be completely different games, and how it happened is very interesting. When the original Super Mario Bros. Hit, it became an overnight success, and Nintendo revived the game industry. Mario became more popular than Mickey Mouse while his fans waited for a sequel. Meanwhile, in Japan, Mario's creators were working on a new type of game with vertical platforming and throwing blocks. Does this sound kind of familiar? Yes, this was one of the building blocks to what would become our version of Super Mario Bros. 2, but wait, there's even more to this. The vertical idea was eventually thrown out for the idea of a game with a diversity of two types of scrolling, both vertical and the traditional horizontal scrolling. However, Mario was cast out of the game when a Japanese TV station contracted Nintendo to do a game based on some of their mascots. The game was called Doki Doki Panic. Another Mario Bros. Game was made as the sequel instead. This one used a lot of the original game's assets and purposely trolled the player with higher difficulty and purposely bad controls. Yeah, look at this game footage here to see what I mean. The game doesn't look too much different from Super Mario Bros., does it? But there's a few big differences. As you can see from this clip, stopping with Luigi can be hard. And I will admit to screwing up a little bit in order to capture footage just to show you how wonky the game controls are. But that jumping into the pit was completely accidental. The controls are slippery to say the least. Oh, did I mention the poison mushrooms that look exactly like regular magic mushrooms? The legend goes when Howard Lincoln saw the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2, he told Nintendo that it would kill Mario's popularity in America. So what did Nintendo do? Simple, they crammed Mario back into Doki Doki Panic where he started. And that is how we got our version of Super Mario Bros. 2. Why weren't we gamers offended when this happened? Well, back in the day, all we had was magazines. We didn't have this their internet stuff to tell us about games. So all we had was Nintendo Power, and they weren't about to tell what they just did to us, that our version was different. No, sirree. Not at least until Mario World came out, when they spilled the beans in their game guide then. Before that, I never heard of it. Think about that next time you're refreshing one of them smarty phones during this Triple E thing coming up just to get new data. We had to wait to the mailman, and we liked it. Stupid spoiled kids and their voice-activated gadgets. Back in my day, I was happy when the stupid machine started right the first time. Sorry about that. I somehow suffered a sudden relapse of old fartiness. It happens occasionally. But anyways, this review will be more on the Mario All-Star 16-bit remake version. It's what I have. I don't see a reason to go spend $5 on a virtual console version of the NES when I have the Super Nintendo version. It's just as good. There aren't too many changes, but just to show you, here's some NES Remix 2 footage of Super Mario Bros., just so you know what the NES version looks like. Now, I recommend both the NES and Super Nintendo versions. They're both good games. I beat the NES version as a kid, and the Super Nintendo's just as good. However, there is one version out there that is kind of terrible, and it's this one. And I'll give you a guess on why I hate this version so much.
Here I go. Just what I needed.
Shut up! Oy! For those who are complaining that I went on too long with that, know that I spent the last hour recording footage not only for this review but for the one I'm going to do on this pile of crap that you see here. It's the worst remake of a classic game, even worse than Turtles in Time reshelled. Super Mario Advance is just a game you want to stay away from. I'm not going to talk much about the graphics in this game because I'm using the 16-bit All-Stars rather than the original 8-bit NES game to review it, and there is a bit of a difference, as I kind of showed you back there using the NES remix clips. There's not, like I said, that it affects the game too much, but there is the difference. I will say one thing though, because they had to shoehorn the new Doki Doki Panic characters in and change the character sprites around them. This is where we see the first modern day Mario and Luigi, with Luigi being the taller one. We also see the modern day princess, developed too. She's also being, a head taller than Mario. It was all started here. The only thing that the NES version does better than the Super Nintendo version, in my opinion, is that when you were shrunk down to small size, your characters' heads would get super deformed because their heads wouldn't shrink in the NES version. Here they shrink and it looks goofy. Again, the music in this one I'm reviewing is the 16-bit remakes of it, so it's not quite the same as the NES version. However, I think Nintendo did a really great job in the Mario All-Stars remix of Super Mario Bros. 2. It sounds better than the NES, but it's still very authentic, more so than they did in the original Super Mario Bros. It sounds real good, and I want to use it. The music in this game has a very different feel than other Mario games, but it still sneaks in the original Super Mario Bros. Music in a few places. Now onto the gameplay. Super Mario Bros. 2 is very different between 1 and 3 and pretty much every other 2D Mario game. First, you're allowed to select your character. Mario is the jack of all trades. He's not crappy at anything, but he's not great at anything either. Then you have Luigi, who can jump high, but he picks stuff out of the ground very slowly, and he runs very slowly. Then you have Toad, who can pick up fast, run fast, but his jumps are crappy. Then you got Peach, who's either second to last or third to last at everything. However, she can jump and glide for long distances, and that makes her very useful, especially on the ice. Of course, the big gameplay change also comes with the fact that you now pick up vegetables and throw them at enemies. You can also pick up enemy projectiles sometimes and throw them back, which is the key to beating Birdo, the boss at the end of most stages. Next to the picking up the vegetables and the enemies, another big change comes in the form of subspace, which happens whenever you use a door that is created by a potion. The current screen is flipped in subspace, and you'll find that the vegetables have all been turned into coins. You'll also find mushrooms that will increase your life by 1 heart. You'll find 2 mushrooms every stage, so you can have 4 hits by the end of the stage. However, this all resets itself by the end of the stage. As for the challenge, the game is, for the most part, pretty easy. Like I said, once you find the 2 mushrooms in a stage, you'll always have 4 hits. You always start off with full life when you die. And the bosses, for the most part, are fairly easy to figure out. You just pick up their stuff and throw them back, usually. Oh, and just one thing, is it just me, or does this boss look like his animations were ripped off from another Mario baddie? That baddie, of course, being Donkey Kong. I give Super Mario Bros. 2, the American version, a 4 out of 5. It's got really good controls, and it's a great game to play. It's just not like the other Mario Brothers game, but that does not make it a bad game. Like I said, it's interesting. Try it out. It's a good piece of Mario history. Just stay away from the Game Boy Advance version. I'll be reviewing that piece of crap next week. Yeah, bad Mario games, they do exist. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I will also put some links and annotations to my review of the original Super Mario Bros. Game below. Thank you for watching.